for coming on.
Good mate.
Right, let's get going. Monty Python Horseshoe. Yes, you have muted. Thank you very much. New one. I nicked that off the internet. I had to. Couldn't resist it. This was another good one I borrowed. This was in an entrance to a school canteen, primary school. I thought that was a good one. Just shows you the kids how much sugar there's in different drinks. But since I put it up, it's worked. Except I'm losing the money in the canteen. But I thought that was a good one. Right, talks last week. First time I've had 3 talks in a week for a while. I think I only had one last year. 1 week where I had 3 talks. But, this was the first one. And this one was up York. This was Burnholm Garden Club. And this is Burnholm Social Club. That's where we should have gone. That was Monday the 6th of March. So that was the day after last week's Zoom, obviously. I should have had B&B off Gene, who organised it as an events organiser, and he was going to give me B&B. And then 2 days before I was due to go up, they rung me because I didn't answer the email quick enough. And they said, I've just been going through my records and I've told you I'd put you up for the night. But since then, since I wrote that, there's had I think he's a Croatian, somebody staying with her, and he's putting a Croatian up, and I thought, of course I've got nowhere to put him, so I booked me up in the Holiday Inn, luckily, and that's where I went. And right next to it, Toby Carvery. So I linked it in the Holiday Inn, obviously. I'm trying to get there probably about an hour and a quarter before I was due for the talk, which was not too far away. So I was a bit hungry, so legged it in the Carvery, obviously. Oh, before that, this is the. I just took a photo of this. This was in my room in the Holiday Inn. That door there, that's me in the shower room. But if I open that door there, so that opens to the right, and that door closes on the toilet. So it's a door for 2 holes, if that makes sense. Because if I've shut that again, it closes the whole place off. And if I open it, it shuts the bog off. Thought I'd take a photo of that for the troops. Right, legged it in the Carvery. Love meat grub. What I should have done was look at all the meat, i.e. the meat side of it. Because I always have the beef, and there's quite a bit of fat on it, gristle. But I still had my money's worth. That was my second dollop of gravy on it. So like the Yorkshire pudding, they up Yorkshire. I can remember being in the mob with my mate somewhere from Yorkshire. He took me home for a weekend to see his family and that. And they have Yorkshire pudding gravy as a starter. I couldn't believe it. First time I'd ever had it. But they make them, well, his mother made the gravy out of beef dripping. Beautiful. And I think it's stuck to me ever since. So that's my second dollop of gravy on my meal. And another bit at the end just to see it off. While I was there, I went out a nose to see what beer they'd got on for when I come back on the night. And they got 2 John Smiths here that'll do me. When I was going out, was the bar steward, somebody took a photo of it. He says, can I help you? So I'm just looking to see what beer you've got on for when I come back tonight. He said, all them beers I'm off. all the pipes are frozen. Oh, God, Betty. He's only got bottle gums. Anyway, legs in back, halfway through a shower, my phone went, i.e. my mobile. I thought, well, I've got to answer, might be a talk or whatever. And luckily I did answer, because it was Jean who organised the do. And it says, this was 40 minutes before the talk was due. And the venue was 10 minutes away. It says, we've lost the venue where we're supposed to be tonight. Who's pulling their hair out a bit. It says, I'll show you, I'll give the venue where we are at now, but I've got to ring off, i.e. because I've got to ring everybody else up. So I said, oh, carry on, Gene. And so it did. And this was where we had to go to. Luckily, it's a church with a good, it's a newish church with a good setup. I.e. one nice big room with a, well, brilliant setup speaker-wise. But luckily, there was somebody already in the church. There's two big halls to it. There's already somebody in one side. And they managed to get the other side. Otherwise, we'd have been in the quagmire. My trip up there would have been a waste. So I was ringing everybody around, and that was the setup going in. But right above our heads there, there's a digital projector. So I just plugged my laptop into that, which was brilliant. Sorting me out. Nice big screen, obviously. And that was the chairman, having his spiel before me talk. Turnout in the end was excellent. And that was a good crowd and all. It was especially in the church, I like to watch my P's and Q's. But it turned out alright. We got the troops to give us a wave. We were done. When I got up there, I put this one on my Facebook group, Compost King, obviously. Just put filling up boss. And these are the comments. As a Christian, I've had this feeling that more needs to be said about the ways to create a better composting church. You've beat me to it. All hail the King. Paul Westwood, you in church? Find your P's and Q's. A few dropped out, but they enjoyed it. I got away with it. Right, so we're going to buy the bottle beer next door. It was only lager anyway. In the place it was still already in when I was staying. Bottled, they'd got 2 bottles of cider, 2 different brews, so I thought I'll have one of each. A couple of bags of crisps, nuts, and just legged it back to my room. There's somewhere to drink down there. It's where we have breakfast in the morning. It ain't a bar as such. Or I'd have been on my Todd down there. I ain't no TV at all, so I'm just legged it back to my room. Breakfast in the morning, Boston. No poached eggs, no fried eggs, only scrambled eggs. So obviously I've got to get that a go. And they're the best scrambled eggs I've ever had. They was Boston. They're supposed to be fresh orange. No, it won't. It's fresh water with a bit of orange in. I like my marmalade and a cup of tea after I've had my breakfast. I thought, well, you got to get your money's worth there. So I had my Wheaties and all. Frosty night. So I just scraped the car in the morning. And 2 hours 50 minutes. It's downhill going back 8. And I went all the way without a pedal. That's weird. If I go down hours I went shopping, so I'm 5 minutes away. I have a pedal before I go out, halfway round. I think, Christ, I want a bloody pedal. Going up there or down, straight through. Yeah. TripAdvisor, Holiday Inn, breakfast good, although no eggs. The scrambled egg was the best I've ever had. Orange juice was a letdown. Weak. Always put your bits in. This is Gene the next day. Hi Mick, hope you had a good night and safe journey over Monday. Just wanted to thank you so much for coming such a long way to be our speaker and giving such an excellent talk. Your passion for composting came across to our audience, and we all learned a great deal as well as being entertained by you. After a difficult start, we had a wonderful evening, and we are very grateful to you. Apologies for being somewhat stressed when you arrived, but I really don't like things when they go wrong. Yep, same here. Hope to see you again sometime. Kindly yours, Gene. I done well that night. Because I don't know what happened with the venue, but I must have had a go at them the next day. With them that booked this up moons ago. But alright, they won't be up again, so always a good sign. Out the Sun newspaper, so it's got to be true. Kids need ticking off. Smartphones evolving into every aspect of their lives. No place for them in classrooms. I thought that was common sense. Don't let a kid take a phone into a classroom, but obviously it goes on. Kick about, fill out a risk form. This is one of the things that stopped me taking the kids from Caslon Garley Club down to my allotment. I was supposed to fill a risk form in every time I went down, because something might have changed since I filled the last one. I took them down the week before, and it's still happening now. It's a lot of near older. Right, top of the garden. This is me Leander. I had one in the top of the garden, one down the bottom. The one down the bottom I took up 2 years ago because he went and this one has gone. This one is supposed to be a bright red flower. He was naff last year. In fact, the flower never opened and it developed very well. All the leaves was discoloured, as you can see there. So I thought, I've got to find a room for something, so let's clear him off. So that's what I've done. I got him up, and it didn't take much to pull him out, so he weren't well established in the road with the old taproot. And this year there'll be a canna going in there. I've got a nice bit of space for him. It was anything with gardening there up the back garden. I'm running out of space, and I want to put a few cannas in, especially one. There's my wall there, so he will be left in over winter, next winter, and he'll just be top dressed with straw and rabbit muck. I want to see if I can get away with it, leaving him outside. If I don't and I lose him, then I've only lost a canna. I've got a few in the road. Right, last week they said that the old frosts are coming back again, the good frosts or bad ones, whichever way you look at it. But so I got the Enviro mesh back out the garage. I thought I've got to start covering things. So opening them up. These are obviously what I used to use down the plot. So there's some clean bits and dirty ones. Looking at these chaps down here. Have a close up on these. Just about coming through. And that was my raspberry all gold, my new one. Harvest from mid-August to early October. That's why I've got him, so they'll be ready for our show. And then they're showing signs, as we can see there, although it's still blurred. Just show you that started. Blueberries, because now I've got buds on everything, like before I had buds on it. I weren't too bothered about the stuff that was outside, but now I've got buds on and the frosts are coming back again. If we get a good frost, I don't want it burning the ends of these. meaning don't want to lose them all. So I'm going to give them a bit of protection. Try to get them in focus again. I've got them in focus, one of them. There's quite a few on. But I have had a few singed while I was working up the top of the garden. The security just making out there. Got her eye on me. Loves it in the sun because the sun was out. And the sun was under there, pushing under Harris, and that's an ideal height to bung it in on. As long as it can see me is alright. Right, so in this environment out, I need 2 good sizes. McCain's as well. But eventually I ended up with 4 of these plastic coated rods. This is what I use for the fencing up the sides, if you remember them when I put my fencing in. I just cut these in half. That was ideal. I think I've got 6 of these left. So all I'm doing is putting 1 on each corner. I thought I could either shove it in there or tape it to the outside. If I shove it in there, knowing my luck, it'll go through a couple of roots and give the plant more stress than he wants. So I thought I'd tape them around the outside. And that's ruching. That was a new material that I encountered, so I has to pass it, passport control. Does that when I have somewhere to eat. It's like wiping them out. Right, so I've taped my canes on the outside. One obviously taped around the top and the bottom so they're nice and sturdy. Above this, so that'll just go over that now. Get a bit of protection. Where am I? This is end of the greenhouse. So we've gone down to about 6. That'll do me. And then stuff in the greenhouse. Well, the stuff that's got to go back in. And the stuff I've got in here, because this is open as well, if you do get a good frost. And they've all got buds on. I don't want them being jobbed as well. Even if it's just a... So I've got my canes over that. It's my straw. There's 2 plants there. So I've got canes higher up. And that'll be going over there. So I'm cutting these to size. I think I've got 1 spare lot. So that's that covered. And these covered that pot and these 2. And he would just have a sheet of paper over him. And I put 2 canes up. It's just a bit of protection. Stop burning. That side and all. There's a plant under there, fruit tree. So I've just hung him over there. These lot have come back in from outside, like he was in the tunnel, the peach. And these 2 up the side of the beds as well. They've got buds on. I don't want them to be frosted. So my cherry, which was there, he's gone in. Right, that's all. This is just tied with a bit of string around it, just because there was a bit of wind on the afternoon. They're supposed to get a wind to get a frost, but we had a bit. So just to help them out, loosely tied it in. And that was on the evening about 6. But you can see the sleet coming down. So it was a bit cold then. These I think have got enough protection, so I'm going to leave it. These are blueberry as well. Got away with them before, so I'm going to leave that. And that was just before we laid it to bed. You can see the frost on there. And that was on the morning. So it was worth bunging them on. Cockses are pipped in warm winters. Britain's once favourite apple is under threat thanks to climate change. Experts have warned. Cox's orange pippin no longer be sexually grown in most of the UK. So something else. Jerry will probably know more about that. Or give us an update on the fruit. Charge me beetle dung. I'm running out. So I've had to send away for 3 more boxes of my mate. Right, this was my next talk. This was down Purton Civic Centre, not far from the college. Well, was it Purton College, Horticultural College? This was Wednesday, so Wednesday, March the 8th. Now, this was a night. Obviously, that photo was took. I got it off. I googled it just to get the venue. It was on the night. It pilled down the rain. This talk was raised beds and no dig, and it was for a new allotment site that Wolverhampton Borough Council, not Borough. It's what's it called? Anyway, it was for the allotmenteers. This is when it snowed all day and it looked a bit rough. So the turnout, as you can see, that's me going in, and you can see all the crap blowing there. But I did make it. So that's going in. Wednesday 8th of March. And we call it the copper thing. Raised beds and no dig cultivation. Free entry. So it was open to anybody really. That was about 10 minutes before I started. But there's quite a few put in their apologies. So they couldn't get in. They live in the sticks. Obviously there's no gritters about. But good night. I just returned from a raised bed lecture at the Civic Centre. Brilliant. Nearly buzzing with what I've learned tonight. Thank you, Nick. I'll certainly be in touch seeking your advice. Regards, Pete. Replied in pleasure. Another good night. This next day, the April. Date sounds good to me. We thought you got to Burton last night. We would have got to Burton last night, but probably got stuck coming home. Our road is abandoned cars this morning. If we lived in Burton, we could have walked. It did belong, as I've told her, where my next future talks are near Wolverhampton. This is the April date sounds good. That's where I'm getting my next one. They used to be in Water Future Society. That was Pippa. They'll get us a sweet pea talk at our garden club. And I nicked that one off and all. Good. Right, this is proper blokes one. This is Sarah. She is 45 years old. She has 2 children. She has never exercised a day in her life, yet she eats anything she wants and stays up till 3 AM drinking beer. What's her secret? No secret. Sarah is the one on the upper right of the picture. There. Obviously, the bloke's brain is going straight to what he says. Unless somebody proves me wrong. Now, this was either, what do they call it? A new moon or full moon or something. This was a couple of days ago in the paper. And I thought I recognised that. That's one of my forts down Portsmouth, off the Solent. I bunged that into the troops. See if they remember that. Right, Kath, are you on tonight?
Hello, I am.
Oh, you're a star.
I've been panicking.
Right, this is Kath. Now, this photo was at your grandmother's allotment, was it?
Yeah, I think I was about 4 or 5.
Right.
And I'm guessing that's where it all started, all this interest in growing and plants and things. And me and my 2 sisters used to spend hours down there fighting who was going to feed the chickens, etc. Sadly, it's now a housing estate. Right. So this is Elmfield Hall in Accrington, and it's in a park. And at the back of it is where we grow. There was a chap lived there called Frederick Gatti. He was from France, and he was an expert in dyeing and printing cloth, and he invented ways of fixing 2 dyes, the khaki and a deep red that's known as Gatti or turkey red. And the plant that was used for the dyeing, the madder plant, is still grown in the area we have a site. It's an evil thing. It's like wrestling with a thorny hedgerow. So at the back of there, I'm not sure what order do you want to just give the next one yeah, there we are. So at the back of the hall, these are the council's last remaining municipal glasshouses and polytunnels in the borough. The borough is Hindburn. It's Accrington. Nobody knows what Hindburn is or where it is. So the glasshouses are now about 40 years old, and we've been there about 20 years. So this is the bottom glasshouse and bottom polytunnel. And when I say we, who are we? Well, we're Incredible Edible Accrington, Sandy Lane Gardening Group, which is a group set up for people with mental health, long-term mental health problems, and the gardening is a therapy for them. And we have various other local groups and environmental groups who dip in and out as and when and come and use the potting benches or whatever, or we swap plants or they come for a chat. It's one of those places where people can just come and sit and do nothing or get stuck in if they want to. Next one. Yeah. So those are the 2. That's the top glasshouse. We call that Shirley's glasshouse. Shirley works for the council and she is a plants person through and through. She was brought up in horticulture. The polytunnel next to it, which is in a bit of a state, isn't used by us at the moment. We were going to get it, but that's another story. And I think apparently it's going to be reskinned soon and used, but it will only be for 12-18 months. It's going to be used for. So what we do down there, just I think the next one might be the other polytunnel. So yeah, that's the top polytunnel, and then all those tubs along the front are what the council used to have with bedding plants around the borough, and rather than get rid of them, they asked us if we could make use of them. So ourselves and a few other growing groups and community allotments would divvied them up, and we've still using them 5 years on, I think. So they're great to the council because rather than ever throw things away or whatever, they always come to us and say, do you want this? Can you make use of that? Do you know anybody else who if you can't, anybody else who can? Which is great because those tubs are like 500 quid a piece.
Good raised bed though, isn't it? Boston there, man.
Yeah. We've got, if you I keep wanting to point and go with my mouse and I can't because you're in control. But if you go in front of the polytunnel, yeah, right there, that bed there, they've got rhubarb in. There's 3 beds with rhubarb in, and we dug one over last year, and it's absolutely romped on. It was just what it needed, was to be split and dug up, and we threw some bits in the compost bin, unbeknown to us, and we've ended up with monster plants in the compost bins as well. I found those last weekend. So I've just stuffed them back in the other compost bins and left them to it till I've time to do something with them. So what we do down there is we sell and we donate plants to other groups and to the council. Can often be seen in the park taking cuttings, taking seeds, splitting plants, and then some go back or some go to other parks, because the council staff is like anywhere, it's a skeleton staff now, and they haven't time for splitting and propagating. In fact, they haven't got the facilities to do it, because they gave all this up 20 years ago. So that's what we do to give something back, and to keep good links with the council. We also go to the annual food festival and put on free seed planting for anybody, and we also use it as an opportunity to sell plants to raise funds for the group. Our main outgoings are insurance, which is £100 a year. £100's nothing, but it's a lot if you haven't got it.
Yeah.
And compost as well. We go through quite a lot of compost. And then the group who originally set up this site, it was a community food growing project, and we've continued that through. The Incredible Edibles ethos is free food in open spaces for anybody to take if they want, and we have another part where that happens, and some of the beds dotted around the town. But we also started in 2016 specifically growing for local food banks, and that's continued. We haven't got masses of stuff, but whatever is surplus we take to local food banks, and more recently an organisation which is called the Pantry. And what happens there is people pay a nominal amount of money and they choose what they want, rather than be given something that either they don't like or they don't know what to do with. So we think that's the better option, because people are taking ownership then of what what they're buying, what they're taking. So that's just a snippet of what we call the yard. We call it the yard. So the 65-foot is a T-section greenhouse, which is down the bottom of the yard, the first photograph. It's quite shaded down there, so in the polytunnel we can grow things that you usually can't grow. So because we've limited outdoor space, we have to use what we've got. So we usually do peas, beans, brassicas in there. And there's a hot vine in there that I keep saying is going to get evicted, because it is a damn nuisance. It takes the place over. It really is a nuisance. And we also use the bottom polytunnel for storage of plants, either what I call the parent plants that I would propagate from, or plants that are there for selling, because we generally meals. Because at least if you don't sell them one year, you stand a chance the next time of selling them.
Yeah.
And then the other glass house that you saw, again, it's not quite as long. And then we've got the top double polytunnel, and as I said, that other one isn't ours. So we're short on space outside. I think maybe the next might show the next slide. Oh no, that's what we call the ramp bed. So that's as you come up into the yard, and that is an absolute haven for the birds. They go mad for it. We've had nut hatches down today, the blackbirds, the robins. We get quite a few robins about, starlings, chaffinch very occasionally, and we're surrounded by woodlands. We've got the park at the front, and then at the back of us we've got a woodlands. So they've lots of places to fly in from and hide, and they like the little short hops, don't they, the birds? And then at the back, that's those are houses that back onto the park from the road that comes in. So we also get rats feasting on there. So this is the only real outdoor space we've got. So these are 3 raised beds, and in those I normally put elephant garlic. So that first raised bed has got elephant garlic in, and some bulbs. I haven't a clue what these bulbs are or where they've come from, but I've kept pulling them out, but they keep coming back. And then in the middle bed we usually do courgettes and squash. And then the middle bed has got a rose bush in it, which was grown from a a stem. Someone had exhibited at the local show, and they'd left a single rose that they'd exhibited. So I thought I'll have a do with that and see if I can get it going. And lo and behold, 4 or 5 years on, it's my only success. I've never managed it since to get anything to root. But it's a lovely pink rose, and it flowers for months and months. And then the far bed's got what are they called, cardoon in there, and Jerusalem artichokes. So that's all we've got outside. We just have to make do with that for now. That's inside the tea section greenhouse. So that's what have we got there? In the forefront, we've got Szechuan pepper, that green spindly stuff. That is vicious. If you ever want to plant a hedge to keep people out, put that in. The thorns on it are massive. And then wrapped up is the kiwi, the cocktail kiwi. And then in the 2 tubs are the grapevines, and the grapevines just in big tubs. And all I do every year is just top dress them with some compost out the compost bins and some grow more, and they just go mad. But this year I've cut them back quite hard to try and reduce them a bit in sight, because we have plans afoot, and I need them so that they're manageable to move them out eventually. So next one. That's our little orchard. Again, because we've no real outdoor space, they're all in tubs. We've got apples and pears down there, and also some saplings that we planted. Someone, you can't really see them in the background, but someone gave me some fir tree whips. I got a knock on the door one day, are these any good to you? So I said, yeah, I'll take them, and I've planted them, and they've all taken apart from 3, which is brilliant. There's quite a lot of them, and we're in the process with another group of creating a remembrance woodland for people who died from COVID, and also some friends and volunteers who were sadly lost in the last couple of years, not through COVID. So they're going to go in that new woodlands, as are the acorns, the oak trees. They are grown from acorns from Passchendaele in Belgium, and we have some horse chestnut, and they're from the ramparts at Ypres in Belgium. So we've got a mini woodland going on there. Next one, Mick. And then this is just showing some of the flowers that we have. We used to have beehives, so we made sure that there was plenty of seasonal food, early food. So we've got the snowdrops, we've got crocus, we've got the hellebores, lots of bee food. And we've actually seen some dead bees in the yard today, so it looks like some of them may have been tempted out and it's got too cold for them and they've sadly passed on. Oh, that's just a close-up of the rose bush, which I'm ever so proud of. Really can't believe I managed to do that. And then I don't know where we're up to on the photos, Mick. I can't remember what else I sent you. Oh, but we're back to me. So just to round up, we grow lots of usual produce: peas, beans, chard, kale, tomatoes, and chilli, and cucumbers. I have a cucumber bed in the tea section that usually does very well. And I'm a member of the Heritage Seed Library as well at Garden Organic. So every year I try to get different seeds so that I can save each year, and then share the seeds around with other people if they're interested in them. But I also like to grow some unusual stuff as well, because I'm a member of the MVS, and we exhibit. Well, we used to exhibit at Southport Flower Show, but we've stopped doing that. But we do show at Chorley Flower Show. So I like to put something on that attracts people's attention, that gets people engaged, that gets them talking. So last year we got chickpeas growing. I took a trough of chickpeas along and put some pods on the display. some Malabar spinach, which is a climbing spinach. Again, that was in a tub, so that went on the back of the display. And then there's a strange little thing called an achocha, which is a little gourd, which is a total waste of time as a vegetable, but my guinea pig used to love it. It was his favourite food. But again, it attracts attention. It's a vine, and it puts on these big leaves. I took one to what was it? Tatton. When we did Tatton Flower Show, and somebody thought it was cannabis because the leaf of it is very similar to cannabis if you don't know what you're looking at. So, and then I've already mentioned we've got the Szechuan pepper, which is evil stuff. We've got other things such as society garlic, which is a pretty plant. Chinese celery. We've got pomegranates, we've got physalis, we've got avocado, and lots of other stuff. I've been having a clear out today, and I've got a little collection of plants that I call my Jurassic plants, and they're from a guy who his company is called Jurassic Plants, and he generally turns up at Southport and some of the other flower shows, and he grows in St Aspath in Wales, and he does lots of unusual but hardy edibles. So when we move, because that's what we're looking to do, is totally flatten everything that we've got there, and we're working with the council to raise funds to redevelop the site and put in a completely new setup. And phase 2 will be going into the park as well. The council have said we can have a strip of land in the park for outdoor growing, so we're going to be looking at planting the orchard out, but also buying new local or varieties that will do better in Lancashire of apples and other fruit trees. That is about it.
Brilliant, Kath.
Thank you.
Excellent setup. I wish we got some around here like that where I could volunteer.
Yeah, we're so lucky.
Safe.
We've got electric. I call it posh gardening because we don't even have to get wet because most of it's inside. We've got electric opening windows. How posh is that? But with no toilets, so you can guess what goes on with that. Good for the compost bins.
Oh, brilliant.
Anybody got any questions or anything?
Kath, the Szechuan pepper, does that fruit, and can you get pepper off it and stuff, or is it just a growing for
ornamental
the plant? Yeah, ornamental.
No, it is an actual. It's spice. So we do get peppercorns off it. They're not the peppercorns that you know your black pepper. They're not like that.
No.
They've got like a pink husk on them, and it is the pink husk that is the actual flavoured pepper, and it burns. You put it on your. Yeah, it's very, very strong. It's the seed, but there is a hard black seed inside, and that is apparently discarded. But it's the pink, and this last year it had masses and masses of flowers and then peppercorns on it, and it's easy to grow from the seed. I grew some last year just as an experiment. It's dead easy to grow from the seed, but it is a bit slow growing. Yeah. Which is probably why the plants are quite expensive if you go buying plants.
All right. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Lovely, brilliant, Kath, that is.
No, thank you.
Well, keep us up to date, say a month's time or something, if you've done anything different or whatever.
Yeah.
Or anything new.
Yeah. Well, once the plants start coming through, then, it gives it a different perspective, doesn't it?
Oh.
It's all a bit dreary at the moment.
It is. Well, spring's only 2 weeks away, eh?
Oh, it is, yeah.
That's always feel better. Lovely, Kath. Excellent.
Thank you. I'll turn my video off now with my microphone on mute.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you.
Right, Mountain Village in China. Fancy living in that one there. How are you going to get out for a... we don't know how well off we are, do we? Right, since we've had this good dollop of snow again, I think everybody's been jobbed with it. I've nicked these off my talk from a year on the plot. So that's looking through our main gates at Abbey Road allotments. So I'm looking straight up the driveway goes all the way around, back up here. Our tradie sheds are here, toilet blocks here, the disabled plots were up here. The plot slopes that road and this road. So we just go on to the next photo. And that's the crap we've just had the last couple of days. But if you've got a plot, this is what you've got to look out for. Because if you have got even netting, like he ain't collapsed yet, but that one, because of the weight of the snow, it's surprising how much weight there's in. Now, he ain't going to last much longer. But if you got anything made out with hoops, then that's what's going to happen with the weight of the snow. So all my raised beds that I've got hoops in, some of it's got to be protected, whether it's by environment, because I've got heating leaks growing in there. I want to keep the allium leaf miner out, and stuff like that. Then you go and net them. But just before winter, I roll the nettings up from either side, tie it up with a tie in the middle. So if it does snow, then there's no weight on nothing because the net ain't open. But if you don't do it, that's what happens. And that one, I think it's called something like a wonder wall, walk-in wonder wall. Basically, it's just a flimsy plastic frame, and that lot covers the lot, obviously. But if it does snow, because the structure's weak, it's going to collapse it as well. This is what an old goat did, which worked. This is Enviromesh, and just a wooden frame. In fact, he's extended. He's gone right down to the bottom now. But basically, it's Enviromesh on the top and surrounding it, meaning no pigeons can get in and no butterflies. And just walking through the door from outside, you can feel that just the warmth. It makes the difference. But also, he's got to watch with the snow as well, obviously. But that works. Right, this was my first tunnel I had. Originally, I just had one plot down to there. Then bottom half come vacant, and I nicked that one as well. So this is unmade. Scaffolding netting all the way around the outside. So I've got air movement, and this is open obviously, and the other end. So I've got air movement that way as well. See my doorbell up there, look. Just in case I'm up the other end. These two, if I zoom in on them two is wheels off the old fire escapes from the fire service. Used to have a ladder with two big wheels and two little ones. Because I was on fire station and got a drill yard. That's where they stored all these, the old ladders, because the Yanks bought them. Somebody had a ladder with two wheels missing. God knows where they went. But that was my first tunnel. Then the weather took it. Haygrove Tunnel. Mother bought it me. That's the only reason I had it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had it. Why? Because it cost 1,200 quid. When I had it, there's two roll up and roll down signs on there, meaning that's got Enviromesh, obviously. That's Enviromesh on the door. But I would never be in a position where I want these two windows shut, because if you close that down and the other side, there's no ventilation whatsoever. So I took that out and put it in the environment shop. So I rung the gaffer up and I says, if you give people the option at buying this tunnel without them sides on, it's going to knock at least 400 quid, 500 quid off the price of the tunnel. You have Flogmore, put the phone down on me. So I thought, sod you. Just trying to help you out. And first thing I did was cut them two off. They need them. But they were sturdy. So I've took that off and that. This was Enviromesh, but the holes were small as a ferret, meaning it's got to be a strong wind to get air movement. So I've doubled the size of the hole in that one, and that was the biggest hole, as you can tell by just looking at that. That's the biggest hole you can get in Enviromesh. So now I've got better air movement. So it doesn't matter what you have, what tunnel, greenhouse, whatever, you've got to have air movement. But they are very sturdy in the sense you don't get 2 foot of snow on, and it'll still take it. And this was up the back garden. That first lot of snow we had 2 days, 3 days ago. I can't remember. But obviously, I have to get that off as well. Although it's a good solid structure, I don't need to stretch the plastic. But the easiest way, I just get a broom and knock it off. Or if I pour it, I get inside and just push the broom up, and it knocks it off that road. Right, back onto the plot. So this is the top of the plot. So my bench is here, which I never sat on. So that there, my Robin's, Blue Tits, whatever. That's Rhubarb View Hotel. As he looks out of his door, you can see me Rhubarb. Next one is Tunnel View Hotel. As you can see me tunnel. That's my mate next door. He was a prison warden, Mick Bodie. Good lad he was. He's packed his plot up now as well. And his kids bought him that. I said, you all get nothing in it. He says, why not? I says, it looks like a bloody brothel. Any day, he had nobody in it. Next year, they was queuing up. Good lad. This was an old bloke at the bottom. Where the road goes all the way around and comes back. We've got plots up the side as well. We've got a brook running down the back of here. So these lot have got a rat or two more than what you got at top. But this old bloke, he got half a plot. He used to go down every morning after breakfast. He'd have at least 2.5, 3 hours there. He'd have 10 minutes, quarter of an hour on his plot, and he'd sit in there, put his feet up. He'd got a book and a flask, and he'd just stay in there the rest of the time. He says, I love me missus, but you've got to get away. And that was every morning. He loved it. Even better in the summer for him. Right, Rhubarb. This was obviously the end of the season, as everything's finishing off. What about there? Cherry tree. That's my first raised bed. That was a goose gog. The bench is just here. So if that starts going overgrown, then I'll chop some off. Or if somebody asks for a piece, I'll chop it off and give them. This I bought from my first allotment, which was straight opposite the house. That's what then we had the house. They told the missus until we'd signed to say we'll have the house. Then I told her about the allotment. But the rhubarb I had, which I inherited there, was proper black country brew. And when I moved, that's the first thing I brought down, the allotment, the rhubarb, Boston stuff. So let's talk you through. So from the last photo, I'll just take all the rubbish off, compost it, and then I cover it with well rotted manure, as you can see here. So if it starts coming through, like it has done here, don't forget over winter, that lot is protecting and feeding the plant. because if it does rain, that'll water it and take feeding as well. But you're also protecting it, keeping it nice and warm, meaning you're going to be the first one to have rhubarb. They forecast another frost, and I'll just put some more muck on the top of that. I don't need to burn the leaves. Exactly the same if I was growing potatoes in a raised bed. I'd earth up, not using the soil, but I'd earth up with straw. If they forecast frost and I'd got tater tops coming through, I'd just press them with straw as well, just to keep the frost up. So you can tell there by the old manure and the new manure that them lot had been covered because we'd had a frost forecast. But they've grown through again. Because these will put, don't forget they've already got the warmth in there because it's moist anyway and warm. Perfect conditions for rhubarb growing. Right, if I zoom in on that one, there's Mick, my next door neighbour, the prison warden. That's his rhubarb. No sign of nothing except the old dead stuff from last year. The only difference between his and mine, I've mucked mine at the end of the season, meaning I'll give it a head start. And it's this time now that it looks like it is now. And it just goes haywire. If you look after it, it will look after you. Obviously, if you get a frost now, then there's too much there to cover up. We're taking the job out of it. Because I have looked after it, you will get thicker and straighter stems. And this is the first lot of rhubarb I do my wine with. It'll be the strongest wine. Parsnip wine, when I first started doing rhubarb, parsnip was a bloody good one. It was a strong wine. But an old bloke used to enter it into the show, and it was evil stuff. I said, you ain't adding nothing to this. He says, no. Sugar, rhubarb, that's it. Parsnip, sorry. And it was a bloody strong one. Then when I've made this with the first dollop, because I've done it later on as well, having it, say, March, April, taking the rhubarb off, making wine with that. This was always the strongest, and it comes very close to parsnip. There was a mate up north who used to have a bottle off me every time he said me the rhubarb. But if you look after it, i.e. if it dries out, water it or feed it, and as you can see there, thick, straight stems. Superb. Right, this is when I've cut it. Somebody asked me for a dollop, or you can see my bench here. It was getting close to my bench, so I just chop it off. That was when I used to talk down the Cardiff Spring Show. I think that's finished now and all. But I got a mate down there because we ain't got no seaweed round here or sheepbug. He used to give me 2 bags of seaweed, 2 bags of sheepbug, and I used to give him spare branch leaves for show. And he asked for a dollop of rhubarb, so I got that one up for him. That was another dollop I got up in a couple of pots for our bringing by, which used to be in June then. It's now being brought forward to May. But a good brew. This is somebody else's rhubarb where I took the photo. It's gone to seed. Why? Because he ain't looked after him. If something goes to seed, he thinks it's going to die. If he thinks he's going to die, I thought, well, you might kill me, but I'm still going to survive by throwing young. And that's what they do. They throw young to get the seed, meaning it carries on the life cycle. But I don't want nothing to go to seed, so just look after them. Don't let them dry out and feed them. People forget to feed rhubarb. They don't need feeding, but if you want nice thick stems,
Right.
and good tasting stems, rhubarb, and just look after them. If it does go to seed, just pull it off from the bottom, just pull him straight out, and then look after him. Right, onions. Easiest way for growing onions is from sets. Did lots of trials with the kids up at school with Caslon, especially with Wilco stuff. If it worked for them, then I know it would work for me as well. That's how I used to start off. I've never, I've only done it once on my older one, where I've put onion sets straight out into the soil. But every year, just don't forget, I might have 2 packets of each, and I've picked the best ones out. Meaning, I press them. If there's any soft shoulders, obviously they're pretty soft, so they go straight in the bin. So only the firmest have gone out, and I'm still missing. I've lost him. He ain't come to nothing. Another one there I've lost. There's one. Another one there. So if I'd have planted them straight out, there's 4 gaps I've got already. So basically, all I'm going to do, I'm going to plant out the strongest ones, so there's no gaps. The weakest ones will go straight in the bin, because if they're weak, there's any aphids about later on, any disease. Aphids go for weak plants, they ain't saft. And then upending these, because that's a 15 tray insert, that's full size seed tray. But upending them, I was disturbing the roots too much. So the following year, I started using plastic drinking cups. That 15 tray insert holds a plastic drinking cup up perfectly, and I can move these around the greenhouse easy. Meaning, if it's a nice sunny day like it is here, I just bring them outside and wait if it's taking a rain. But once them are ready to pot out, there's no.
When do you put yours out, Mick?
Probably another month.
Yeah, I was going to say I had the best crop ever last year. I put them out. I think it was the second week in April.
Yeah.
And outstanding from sets, similar to yourself.
Yeah. I've tried the overwintering ones a few times, but now too much to, because we get the allium leaf miner here as well.
I don't think there's any advantage to overwintering them.
No. Well, they just tick over.
Yeah.
But these will catch up anyway.
Mm.
But I mean, if you got the room, that is, well, you've got to have a greenhouse for the start. But it's a cold greenhouse, they don't need any heat. But you just giving them a head start. But if there's any weakness, then they'll go out. But if you're on a large onion, you've got to use seed. And this was a trial from Robinson's Mammoth. And they bought a red one out, obviously from seed. So I thought, go on then, I'll give them a go. Because they said that was large. And they weren't too bad actually. But these was excellent for eating, cooking and storing. But like any onion, you got to dry them out. Unless I'm gonna need one to use.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got half a sack of white and red, and
yeah. If you dry anything, it's like taters. If you dry them off properly, then store them. They'll keep, same as your onions. So that's laying them out. Let our mate upstairs swill them off, dry them off, whatever. But they will dry off quick. And that's what I want, all the tops disappearing or turning from green to straw or shriveling up. For all them are supposed to be the same seed, for the different colours. That proves you, even they're mixing their seed as well. But all companies do it, otherwise they'll run out of seed. So there's my big normal onion, and that's the biggest one I ever read. I think that was £4.5 for a red one. But you use Boston. Taste was superb. And there's my normal onions, the top's drying off. This is the same as tulips, daffodils, anything like that. I always let the tops go back into the bowl. The nourishment is going from there back into the bowl, same as onions. Never cut. There's quite a few people who cut the tops of the daffs off and the tulips. carry on. Do it because you're taught to do it. Spare onions, my big ones, then went out. This is before we had the allium leaf miner. Otherwise they'd be under environment. But the larger the onion, the milder it is. Crusty cob, cheese and onion. Busted. Poor beated. Pear used to eat these raw on a night. With a bit of cheese. Probably not what job did, but he went happy. Architecture hub, yes, the Easter Island statues, everybody's seen more. That's half of the photo. Obviously there's the ground, which you can see, ground level. Then I put the rest of the photo in. So they must have thought, well, we've seen some which is bigger than that. And I've looked at them, well, that's the top. So I dug down. Great, eh? So how long has that took to cover that? It's weird, eh? Our world. Love it. Jerry's been active just lately. I think there's 2 on here this week. That was sharing a meeting the UK Orchard Network. Obviously a Zoom. Doing a talk. Had a great night tonight speaking to members. Chorleywood Horticultural Society, growing apples and pears. Just send him a few of my cards to dish out, so to get in touch with him. Right, if you finally chop citrus rinds and sprinkle them on the mulch in your garden, they keep away neighbours' cats, dogs and other critters from your veggies. I guess animals don't like the smell of the orange oil. I've been using this method in the front garden and it's working. I just thought I'd put that on for the troops. Nice organic one. Right, turn it tropical. There's a message I sent to my mate. I found him. He's a canner man. Good morning. Will you have any virus-free canners available later on? You were recommended by Sylvain from Canada. That's my mate from Canada who sent me them seeds. And he come back. Yes, I'll be having plenty, but there's it's early at the moment. When was that? That's 10th of Feb. So I'm not just getting a hold of him. Then I went on his website, and luckily he's based in Norfolk, but he's got loads of stuff. It's worth having a nose. And that's one he put on a couple of days ago. Turn It Tropical Limited. If you can remember, I'll write it down. I also started dividing the canners. This one is Stuttgart with variegated leaves. That's what I like with it, on the leaves and all. Variegated. I would like to sell my canners as plants. So it'll be a few weeks until they're ready. I'll be doing more tomorrow. So that's all in these. So that must have been quite a long rows on. So he's probably got 3 plants off by chopping them. But I'll keep you up to date on that. Anything's going. Borrowed this one. Passion to call this the worst day of his life. In the Navy we call it Tuesday. Looking at this, I thought of them when I joined the mob. The old man gave us a Super 8 camera, taking film everywhere. And the first ship, the roughest seas we've been in was the Bay of Biscay, which is off France, and the Irish Sea, going up to Londonderry in '69. In fact, that's why we left. That's when the shit kicked off again. But that was bloody rough going up there. But I used to love it, and I went on the bridge and took filming of it, similar to this. I've got to find them films out. I've got to get it transferred to what DVDs about the window anyway. We'll just copy it onto something. But I used to love it in the sense because everybody was spewing up, and I was eating everybody's grub, which backfired in the sense because if they was too ill to do a night watch, I used to get roped in the road. Loved it. Part of life. There's Russian doing the rounds. Another night of snow. Right, this should have been my third tour, which was Thursday. This is my third one last week. Should have been. I always Google the place to see when I'm going, i.e. because obviously if that's the way in, I want to park as close as possible to unload all my stuff. So I always Google the place. So this is Googling it before I legged it. And it was the day where it snowed overnight and during the day. So Jill, who organised it, cancelled it. It says, we're stuck here, so you're going to be stuck there. Because that's where the talk was. Round Green Village Hall, and it is right in the sticks. And it says everything was cut off. It says, well, we're in the same, well, not the same predicament, but we're the same in the sense that we can't get out either because we're all hills and there's nothing moving. You've got to have only one push or a car stuck and it knackers everything up. So that one was cancelled. That was in Brum, just on the outskirts of Brum. But I was looking forward to that as well. Still, our mate upstairs says it's going to snow. It's going to snow. that was on the morning. I mean, the gritters had been down and the buses had started going down again. But over their place, they was chocker. They couldn't go to the village all in room. So that went out the window. Right, if you remember when Aaron moved out last week, he gave me all his duffins and I started looking after them. There's one. Took all the old leaves off. And it's got new growth, new leaves. So I chuffed to bits with that. He'd be chuffed with that at all. Our weekends we go away, 60s, 70s weekends with the old groups. What we're going to this year's got the monkeys in. Obviously not the original monkeys, but more wassy groups. And putting more events on, getting more ones in. But them good. Just pay one whack. As you see there, $399. That's for a full weekend. Free plonk. Free grub. Somebody's at Judge the Garden club last year. Tanworth and Arden. That was September last year. Obviously it's going to be September this year again. And they'll ask me to do it again. That's the veg, fruit and the flowers. So, yep. Looking forward to that. And this is our Jeffrey. He's been sorting himself out the last month or so. He'll be back soon. He's doing alright. If he was on, he'd be able to explain what the hell's going on there, Jeffrey. Done him. Another new Weatherspoon's got up. Toilets are always upstairs, ain't they, the Weatherspoons? Why did they do that? I thought that was a good one. To everyone who said we hung our door upside down, we did it so our puppies could look out. Look at the hounds there. Brilliant. Love it. Clean Japan. That's how clean it is. Well, that's a ditch, it is. That was a ditch around here. It wouldn't be clear. There's bloody fish in it. I went to Yokohama Harbour in Japan. It must have been 76, something like that. And it was weird then. We berthed up in Yokohama. Obviously, a proper jetty. And the school kids was marching to school. And they was marching past the ship. Because it was a main road, the other side. And I was brushing the teeth as I was going along. All in unison. It was weird. Well, We thought they were weird because there's some weird programs on there. That was then in Japan, but Boston place. Greg's dispatch rider sacked after orders were going missing. Look at him scratching his head. He just sat on don't matter. Right, this was from our committee meeting last week before the talk, if you remember. While I was there, I informed the committee that I was standing down from running the trading sheds. I've been doing it for bloody moons. I'm retired basically. Like I did quite a bit of stuff down the plot. I just thought, well, I'm taking the piss. Because if something happened down the plot, go and see Mickey's chairman, he'll sort it out. Oh, don't need this crap. And then when somebody should have been kicked off, I couldn't get them back up. And I had a go at this bloke, and he tried to planted him on. I'd have been in the shit then. And I couldn't get the back up to get him kicked off, so that mid-rider, I packed the plot in. Anyway, I told these lot I was packing the trading sheds in. But I've sorted out supplies for them. So, I mean, I ain't going to leave anybody in the lurch. So I sorted all that crap out. And one of the cheapest ones, which we've used for a few years, KG Load, is up Chester. And we can use Singleton's Nursery, which is what we used to use years ago. It was local to us. But the chap, the gaffer died, John, my mate. And the couple I had in to look after it, they weren't even gardeners, and they ain't got a bloody clue. They started charging for deliveries. I said, you taking the piss? I said, I've just had 300 quid's worth on my way up the road, and you start charging delivery. Yep. So, never used them again. Common sense. And everybody sold top of suck egg. But they've got stuff which KG Loads ain't got. So, I'm using both of them too. And as it turned out, I had an email, KG Loads. Compost King, please don't forget us. Neville has called it a day. I don't know who's packing in here. Hello. I've picked up most of the allotment customers, and also we are delivering to them in our own lorry service with a smile. I thought that's a coincidence. So I'm messaging back, morning Stephen, good timing. I've just handed over running our trading sheds to someone else, using yourselves for most things, and one at local nursery. We, as last time I ordered, have another allotment site with us. He then picks up from us, but also using their bits to keep to get the free delivery. I think that's over 280 quid or something. But he builds up, so we do get free delivery. Once I've sent this email, I'll pass it on to the person taking over, so they can introduce themselves. You still have us. Cheers, Mick. What are you going to do with all that spare time? Just out of interest, are you still doing talks? I deal with lots of clubs and societies. So I messaged back saying, yes, I do, if you can put a word in for us. And I'll get him a list of my talks. I think there's about 10. Besides me 3 maidens, there's another 7. 50 quid a talk plus fuel, over 2 hours B&B. I deal with almost 1,000 garden clubs and allotments. I will always recommend you. Good lad. Just wait for feedback off him. But there's stuff, Armatox, that's gone now. Jace Fluid, they want to get rid of that as well. Although last time they took him to court, and they just told him, same as Armatox, just make it weaker. And that's why Jace Fluid now isn't as strong as it used to be years ago. And I'm still trying to job them as well. But he's got quite a bit of stuff that other places ain't. so still using them. Scott, our second inputter. Are you ready, sir?
Hi, Mick.
Good man. All yours.
Okay, just a few quick ones. That was all. Just started off me chili seedlings a few weeks ago. That's me Vitapod propagator in me tent.
Look after that, Scott. Now they've gone.
Have they?
Yeah, they've gone. They went into liquidation in November. Greenhouse.
Ah. I did try and contact them a little while ago, actually, because I thought that the tray had gone. It wasn't working properly, and I couldn't find the number. I'd emailed them and everything. I couldn't get an answer, and I didn't know that.
Now they went into liquidation the end of November. There was another company that was in with. I think it was called NutriGrow, which was like hydroponic side.
Yeah,
they was like brother and sister companies, and so they've gone. It's a shame.
It's good stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I've got the double one as well. It's really I use them every year.
Yeah.
If I jump in here, the Greenhouse Enterprise at Milton Keynes, or Greenhouse Experience Direct in Milton Keynes, they've got them all, whether they've taken it over from Greenhouse whatever. They've got them on stock in the hydroponic shop and everything down there.
Who's that, Roland?
Greenhouse Experience. If you look on their website, they call it GHE Direct. You tap that in, you can pick it up.
All right.
And they're in Milton Keynes. They've got a massive set up there now. I'll go and get me odds and sods and things from them. And that's where they give me that 270 quid's worth of all different feeds and all that the other year. Because I sort of use them, and it's just that it. Like they're all friendly in there and everything. I think they said a lot to the weed growers and all, because he reckons he does an Arctic trailer load of compost a week. So he's certainly shifting some of them, isn't it? And I've been in there where they go in and buy 2 pallets at once. Like some of them, you can tell who they are when they're buying it. Like, you know. But anyhow, that's who has got that. I mean, I've got 2 of them Vitapods, the double ones myself. And that's why I noticed it. And they got mega sort of stuff. I know it's a long way for you to go to visit, but that's one hell of a shop, and their grow room in there with all the different bits and pieces growing. I think you can see some of it on the website anyway. If you go on there, the website's a bit slow, but it's a good shop, you know. Like I say, plus it's local to me. It's only about 3-4 mile away. You know? Yeah. And they're giving you 10% off of everything as well anyway, all the while.
Thanks for that.
Whether they put it on and take it off or not, you never know.
Have a look at that.
How many varieties you got in there then, Scott?
There's quite a few. Yeah, I've got on the left these. I started the habanero types, which are like the Scotch bonnet ones. I started them a few weeks earlier. I normally start about Valentine's Day, but I started them the end of January because they take a bit longer. Yeah. And then the others, like the Annams, which are like the jalapenos and the sweet peppers and stuff like that, they went in around 14th of February. But yeah, I just started them in the Jiffy pellets. Yeah. It just works for me. It's just easy, and you know, I was a little bit worried at first. I didn't get a lot of germination, but they all come. So I've also got some interesting some padrons. I don't know if you heard of the padron pepper.
No.
They use it for tapas. So you fry them up. Yeah. They call it Russian roulette because 1 in 10 are supposed to be hot. But whenever I've grown them, they've been too hot, so you can't eat them.
Yeah.
And I saw Emily at one of the MVS talks a few weeks ago, and she was telling me about a variety she's got that isn't hot at all, and she sent me some seeds, and so I've grown them as well, so they've germinated, so that was good.
Oh, real.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that propagator. So that's just to say inside the thing, and you've got like a probe that goes in, and you can set the temperature to whatever you want. Which is when you germinate, it needs to be about 27, 28 degrees.
Yeah.
And then as they germinate, because with the lights on as well, it gets pretty hot in there. So I then reduce it by about 1 degree every day until I get to about 22 degrees, and then I just leave it at that a while.
And then Jiffy 7, Scott, you put them in.
Healthy
get
colour.
them. Yeah, and so that's the thermostat. So I've just got that down to 22 at the minute, just so they don't cook.
Yeah.
And that's the plot. Just took a picture of that. You know, it's pretty tidy at the minute. Got some onions and garlic on the second bed along. Coming along, I think there's another picture of that close up, Nick. I think.
Yeah.
That one, yeah. Bastard fox dug a big hole in the middle. We got a plot, fox on the plot, and I've got some of those solar things that send out like a signal, you know, like I don't know what the word is.
Piercing shrill.
Yeah, sort of, but it's silent. You can't hear it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know? But they obviously don't work. They've become immune to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Perhaps I'll try the orange rinds that you were talking about earlier.
Oh.
Maybe.
Anything's good for you?
Yeah, I thought maybe chili powder or cinnamon, but I don't want to be cruel to them. But I wish they weren't there, I must admit, because they've dug a hole through the side of my polytunnel before now.
Yeah.
Shotgun works.
yeah. I haven't got one of those. So that's so on the right there, that's me garlic, and on the left underneath the thing is me onions. They're overwintering onions, and that's listening to you, Mick, earlier. I must admit, I've never grown them. I've only ever used overwintering onions. So I have fairly good success with them most of the time, but perhaps I'll try them in cells next time. You know, like, and when do you plant the cells? Plant them out after you've started them off, sort of springtime.
Yeah. I mean, it's usually get the root bound in the pots, in the plastic drinking cups.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they've been old enough anyway.
And they don't mind the cold.
No, I mean, it's a cold greenhouse, cold end of the greenhouse. But if the sun is out, then I'll throw them outside anyway. Just old enough. Because by then, if you do get a frost, it's just an air frost. You know, it ain't added, but because
yeah, I mean, they look alright. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. One of them. And that was 2 of my last parsnips that I picked.
Nice bit of meat on them.
Yeah. Done the muddy boots away with a bit of rainwater pipe and germinate. That's all I do now. And get some varying sizes, but they're all right for me. Don't mind. They cook up nice. That's all you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and that was yesterday. I just started potting on the chili plants, so I'm about halfway along. Most of those Jiffy 7s had roots coming out the bottom. Sometimes I cut the actual casing off the Jiffy 7, but if the roots are going through it, then I don't see a problem with it. So I just plonk them in to bigger pots, and they'll stay in those until probably end of May, when I put them out.
Scott, when the plant's on that size, you water from the bottom or the top?
I will start watering from the bottom now. When they're in just the Jiffy 7, I've just been using one of those little spray tops on a bottle of water.
Yeah.
With Biosys. Yeah, like I used that Biosys stuff that's from the Eco Thrive people that do the charge.
Yeah.
It's like a microbial tea, and I hydrate the pellets with it, and then I just give them every time I water them. I just usually water them with that, and they seem to like it. It seems to, So
good brew those.
Yes, it's good. So we'll see. So I've got to do the rest this week. So that was it.
Excellent. Cheers, Scott.
Thanks, mate.
Anybody got any questions for him? Nice one, Scott. You've covered everything.
Thanks, mate.
No tomatoes kept in van overnight. Saturday. Our new neighbours are so in love, he kisses her, strokes her hair, and hugs her. Why don't you do that? Because I don't know her that well yet. You've got to have a lot for you. Dave, mate of Chesterfield. I've got to take him some stuff in a bit. Got quite a bit of stuff for him. We used to go up regular once a year. We used to go up on the morning. We'd have a trip out dinner time. And just anybody local, just catch up. We've been to Nigel Coe's, have a look at his setup with his Gladys. Peter Glazebrook, been to his place, joint veg man. And once went up there and we legged it round to a worm farm. Because there was 2 ex-coppers. I don't know where Dave got to know about it. There was 2 ex-coppers. There was fishermen. They retired near enough together, or one retired and then the other one retired 5 months after the summit. But they both wanted us to still do a job part-time, but they love the fishing. But they threw a fit in the sense that they was paying a bomb for the bloody worms to go fishing. There's nobody local. So they put the heads together, says, right, we've still got to do a bit of work. I'm buying a farmhouse, I've got outbuildings. Let's do our own wormery. And that's what they did. They found out. I says, wormery, yeah, let's go and have a perv. So he rung them up, says, can we come and have a nose? And he says, yeah, come and have a nose. And this is one of his photos. So it was Cutthorpe in Chesterfield. For years gardeners have been aware of the benefits of worm castings. Basically, because originally, don't forget, all they wanted was the worms. And the worm castings, they was binning them. I couldn't get rid of them. And somebody says, that's bloody good stuff, you could flog it. So by the time we got there, that was one of the sheets he was dishing out. And that was the other one, sent for a test like analysis. Obviously, just to show you all the goodies that's in it. And it's just the NPKs and the trace elements, which worm cast is going to be good anyway. And all I'm using for the bedding, this is for the worms to live in, is a multi-purpose compost, shredded newspaper, and layers chicken pellets. That's the feed for the worms. They love it. That is how I got the layers chicken pellets to be one of my ingredients for the compost.
Do they have to mash them pellets up, or do they just chuck them in as they are?
I think you can now get it in powder form.
Right.
These were the small pellets, so I'd say yes, they have to crush them.
Put them in the blender or something.
Yeah, that's what I have to do.
You always used to be able to get it as a mash or pellets.
Yeah.
It's just what you asked for. That one there is about the cheapest one there was going. That Farmer's Gate one. But you can get it. The reason why a lot of them have it in pellets, because they're like bloody sheep and everything. They're selective feeders. If it's got a mash, they'll pick out the bits they want and leave the rest. Whereas if you have it a pellet, they eat the bloody lot, don't they?
That's it.
That's why they do pellets as opposed to mash.
Yeah. But this is their setup. Obviously, that mixes it. So they put the compost in there. They put the shredded paper, exactly the same as what I use. Nothing coloured, nothing glossy, just in case. Look after your babies. So that's doing exactly the same with the compost as well. Before it goes in, you're mixing everything. And that's one of their little growing cabinets. So this is an outhouse in one of in the farm itself. So it's obviously been sussed out. It's got lights and the proper growing conditions, warm. See the radiator there. It's a fan also, so you've got the air movement. But all they've got the bedding in here, and that is like a builder's damp course or thick plastic, just keeping out the sunlight. Because worms don't like sunlight. So if it is black and thick, then obviously it keeps out this light. But this was one of the ex-coppers showing us around. So that's lifting the cover off one of his beds. But there's different stages, obviously. So he's got dates on the front, going from one bit to the next, whatever he's doing. Now he's just picking. Don't forget this lot is full of eggs as well, and that's what he's just picking out there. So he's just picked that's out of focus. It's a young worm. Just about make him out there, and there. He's picked out 2 eggs, and he's crushed one with his thumb, just to help the chap out. But he'd have been out anyway soon. Just to show us that road, and that's the end result. What's underneath. But looking at that one, that don't look too thick there, does it? Just looks like it might be the compost bag, what is used. But it works anyway. And this is like the end result. This is his shaker. So he just puts a lot on there, switches the pump on, and that shakes that from side to side. So the worms come out this road, and the worm casts come out that road down the bottom. Boards on them. That was another one. That one turns, obviously, turns that one by out. So you can see it there. There's all the worm cast out the bottom. We must have had 2 trips there. It must have been, well, I was excited. I don't know where the date was. But we had 2 trips, because on the first trip, when I go up to Dave's, and it's usually about dinner time, we leg is out. And I get Premier in, stay the night, so we can go on the ale. So I worked out I must need back for fuel tomorrow morning, beer money. And the rest of the money I bought this lot. Because I was flogging these worm casts £1 a bag, which was bloody good stuff. And I didn't forget on the next one. Yes, I have. By the time I got home, because these was full of worm eggs, I got my own worm farm by the time I got home. Would the missus let me have a spare bedroom as a worm farm? No. There's Dave. That's how much they was getting, and they couldn't get rid of it. Well, they could, but that'd be working all hours God sends. So there's the original bags of compost. So they empty that to get the compost. So now all the empty bags, I'm now filling them up with the worm cast. And I was flogging them £2 a bag. Cheap as hell. Another 2 bags in the back of there, and the front wheels come off the front. Good bloody buy that was. And it was busting stuff. Because, besides being a good brew, with all your trace elements, it's full of worm eggs. Good trip that was. So the first bags we was having, which was them, that was the first trip. And then the second trip, that was our second trip. Because he went to get them by the compost bag. When you have no idea what's going on, but you still try to know the hound, I thought it was brilliant. He's pushing out and all, and he's looking. See what he's looking at. And good day, they hounds. London's best day care centre for the elderly. House of Lords. £300 a day just for showing up. Jesus H. Christ. Sack of shit we are. Right, this was just day 4. Yeah, this was yesterday. It was on the morning. It was covered. And by dinner time, most of it had gone. And today it's been mild, and I think it's down to 10 tonight and all. Weird. No, the plants don't know what's going on. Blueberries, there's one there, there's one here. Just in case I miss it, I don't know, put them in for later on. I'll be cutting these, pruning them. for the next sesh. Mr. Brint, I was running out of cards to dish out. Ben sorted these out. Mayor of Compost, that's a new one. I think he's making new ones up now for the postman. But I was running out to these dishes out for me talks, so he did a new front for me. That's another dollop I got. My next talk coming up. This is next Wednesday, 15th of March. This is Royal Leamington Spa Horticultural Society. This is obviously Leamington Spa, which is near Coventry, or the postcode's Coventry. But that's on Compost. £3 entry. If anybody's interested. If you know where it is or live near to it, half hour away or something, whatever knows. Just ask me for details. But my mate's been down there to this, because I put this on Facebook yesterday or the day before. And he's been using this as a venue, and it's a proper big room again with a built-in projector, which quite a few have got now, which is what I want. Perfect. Also put this on last week. Ryu passed away on us. National Dahlia judge and exhibitor, and he used to do all our flowers for us. He's done us proud over the years. And I mentioned to the committee that I'll get him a wreath, and that's tomorrow his funeral, and I'll pay our respects on behalf of the Garden Club. But with him, if anybody like him who has helped us out quite a bit, which he has, like with my mate Alf, when he passed away with me, because he was a veg man. There he is, Alf. Good lad. I made his wreath out of veg. So Ray, being a dahlia man, his wreath is being made out of dahlias. Although they're plastic, they still look good. Obviously I can't get a photo. It was Ray sent to me. Well, I'll get one tomorrow when I've got the funeral. Paul Westwood, I think it was yesterday, he was down Ashwood Nursery, seeing all the plants. He took a photo of that. That's why I give me a book. England and France, I was looking up forward to that yesterday. Gordon Bennett. Hope they wake up next week when they play Ireland. Been some good games out, Austin. Right, no Zoom next week. Why not? Because I've got the reunion. This is last year's reunion. HMS Ganges or Keppelmess. Luckily, this was, I think this was second weekend in September, I'm sure it was. This was down Pompey. Luckily, the sun was out all day, it was beautiful. So we sat outside the pub. Tomorrow, next Sunday, the reunion's up our end. So I've organised that one. I found this out today. There's Phil. In fact, there's 4 of these. This was in Ganges itself. This is our mess here. You see the mast at the back. We wanted to leg it up there. We wanted to kick it out. We had to get on the crow's nest. Devil's Elbow, that one. But 4 of these will be there next Sunday. We've lost another 2. Well, we ain't lost him yet, but both got cancer. 2 more got cancer. Sign again, I suppose. But looking forward to that. Anybody know what the time in International Women's Day finishes? Start. Sorry, girl, you know I'm taking the beat, don't you? That's it, people. Well, that's past another hour or so. Inputters, thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
And Kathy, I was
Cheers, Mick.
first one. Good on you, cheers, Dennis. We are doing well. Cheers, Suzanne.
Thank you.
It's Kath.
Cheers.
Cheers, Kath.
That's all.
All right, see ya.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks then.
Yeah,
Oh,
thanks,
mate.
Mick.
Cheers,
Bye.
people.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Worries.
Hello, I'll be-
Cheers then. Bye.
Bye.